Hey, what's up, everyone? I hope you guys had a good Valentine's Day and are having a good weekend. My name is Michael Elder, and this is my YouTube channel called Treasures Galore. Now, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below so you can get notifications of my videos. So, on my channel, I talk about everything Forrest Fenn and I talk about the memoirs, but I'm not going to be going through the memoirs in this video. I'm going to be talking about the genius of Forrest Fenn and how genius he was to have created this treasure hunt and everything that went into play. Some of this stuff I'm going to be talking about the downsides to this chase, and some searchers might not like it too much, but that doesn't really matter to me because apparently that's what I do best. So if you really think about it, I believe that this is the greatest treasure hunt in the history of treasure hunts. Now, I'm not too well versed in other treasure hunts, but I just feel like this one's really special and probably the greatest just because of the mystery and the amount of money that we're dealing with. We're dealing with, a couple $1,000,000 and maybe even more if you were able to auction it and get a book deal and movie deal, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking at, a lot of money. And what I think about is interesting about this chase is that Forrest Fenn is still alive, and we're able to communicate with him through email. And early on in the chase, you could call him, which I thought was awesome that you could actually talk to the hider of the treasure chest. And also, I believe that what's awesome about this treasure hunt is that he's still alive, and he could be giving out hints at any moment that could, spark something in your brain where you could go solve this thing. So I just think that's really interesting. And also about how was he able to keep all this a secret? So in 1988, we know that he got cancer, and that's when he first thought about the chase. So in 1988, this spot was special to him. So in theory, this spot probably was found, quite a while before 1988 because it was a special spot, in his heart. But I just think it's interesting that he never told anyone about this spot that was really close to him. Why? Why has he never mentioned this to his wife or to his kids, or to his friends that lived in Santa Fe? Why did he never mention this spot to them at all before he even thought about it? You know what I mean? So why? But I just think it's really interesting that he was able to keep this spot a secret. And if you just think about how much thought had to go into planning this thing, because it seems Forrest Fenn pretty much memorized his answers. He thought about questions that he was going to get asked and memorized his answers. And if you watch interviews, he gives a lot of the same answers over and over again. And the same, I was shot down twice. I lost, 22 pounds and didn't even know it. There's just a lot of stuff that you could tell he practiced before, so he wouldn't slip up. So he planned this thing out like meticulously. He anticipated what searchers would think, what they would ask. Would they go get rental car records and stuff like that? So just the amount of thought that went into this, along with him writing a poem that supposedly will lead you exactly to where the treasure chest is hidden. Now, I'm not a poet, and it seems to me that writing this poem with directions that would fit, every place in the Rocky Mountains, but would also lead you exactly to a 10 by 10 by 6 little box, which is amazing. Now, we do not know if the poem and everything is exactly what you need to find this thing because it hasn't been found. But all we have to go on is Forrest Fenn's word, and that's what he tells us, is that if you follow the poem precisely, it'll lead you to the treasure chest. So he also spent quite a bit of his own money, which what did his wife think about that? Buying gold and jewels and little jade objects and stuff like that, and putting them into a treasure chest. So not only did he spend a lot of his own money doing this, but he also was able to hide it without anyone knowing, which I also think was interesting. But if you notice in The Thrill of the Chase and other books, he always talks about him and his wife always took separate vacations. when he needed room, which I think is interesting that he goes out of his way to say that. And also, we all know that I believe the treasure chest is hidden in the Wyoming, Montana area, and we all know that he would take, he would go up to the Cody Museum. He'd drive up there. In the Cody interview in 2006, he said, he'd drive up there since he doesn't fly. So it is very possible that he was able to go to Yellowstone and hide the treasure chest without Peggy ever knowing. We know that he hid his treasure chest in his vault, and he wrote some books that were the exact same size, if he stacked them, as a treasure chest. So he put those in there and then covered those books up, and then Peggy didn't know for, don't quote me on this, but it was like 6 months or something like that, that of the time span where she knows that he had the treasure chest. So he kept all this a secret, was able to hide the treasure chest by himself without anyone knowing, thinking about what all the searchers would think about, anticipate everything. So that alone just amazes me, and how much brain power had to have went into this. And just how did he keep a secret? He always says 2 people can keep a secret if one of them is dead, which makes me think that someone did know about this spot, but they were deceased, at the time of him doing all this stuff. So, and also about, he anticipated that people would believe that this thing was a hoax, because there's absolutely no way for Forrest Fenn to prove that he actually took this treasure and hid it where he hid it, unless he would go and show someone, which he's not going to do. So there's absolutely no way for him to absolutely prove that this is not a hoax. But he thought about that. So when he wrote The Thrill of the Chase, he donated it, and this is another part that's amazing about this treasure hunt, about the effects of him doing this. So he wrote this book, his memoir about his life, which adds mystery because it's about his life and these clues. It's not just some random puzzles that you have to solve. It's about his life. So it adds a sense of mystery to it. And he wrote this book, and in my opinion, he gave it to this bookstore. For one, because he didn't want it to be a hoax, but independent bookstores, there's not too many of them around. You have like the big Barnes and Nobles bookstores, but there's not too many independent bookstores anymore. So we donated the proceeds to Dorothy with Collected Works, and I don't know if this is true or not, but to me it probably saved that bookstore from going under, I would imagine. Now I don't know how popular it is in Santa Fe, and maybe it's not like every other independent bookstore. But to me, maybe it saved this independent bookstore because they're getting all the proceeds from The Thrill of the Chase, minus 10% to go into a cancer fund, which I think is awesome. So he donated the book, and 10% goes to the cancer fund, which is awesome. And a question I have is, does anyone know how much money is in that account now, as of right now, and has any of that money been used, or what it's been used for, or if it's been used? That's some questions that I feel like the community should be involved in and know, just because that's the whole thing that Forrest Fenn made to say that this is not a hoax. Well, I believe that if it's not a hoax, then we the community should know how much money is in there and what's it going to, because I just feel like that's something that's owed to the chase and to the community. But Forrest Fenn has always stated that he never made money off these books, which is true. Forrest Fenn hasn't made money, but if you think about the other places that's made money on it, I feel like that's not exactly true. So Too Far to Walk and Once Upon a While go to Forrest Fenn's grandchildren. So these book sales are still benefiting his family. So he might not be making money off of it while he's a millionaire, but his grandkids are, and his family's profiting off of it. Just like the maps. Shiloh, I believe, sold the maps that Forrest Fenn had, and Calazars bought them and sold them, and so his grandchildren are making money off this. So to me, that's still in turn about Forrest Fenn profiting from making this chase. Now, I'm not saying that it's a hoax and that's why he's doing it, so his grandchildren can make money, but I'm just saying, I don't believe that's exactly true because, in fact, his grandchildren are getting the money from Too Far to Walk and Once Upon a While. Now, I do not believe any of that goes to a cancer fund. I believe that all goes to his grandchildren. So, and also, you got to think about how many searchers have bought Forrest Fenn's other books. I know a lot of searchers have, and so, it might not be much, but in turn, Forrest Fenn is making money from people buying his other books, like the San Lazaro Pueblo and his books about Eric Sloane and stuff like that, because they believe it may have hints. However, Forrest Fenn has said that they don't, I believe, but still people are going to buy them to read about Forrest Fenn and try to get a better understanding of the man that hid the treasure chest. So Forrest Fenn's getting book sales from his other books. His grandchildren are making money off of it. But also you got to think about the other people that are making money off of it too. And I'm not saying this is bad at all. I'm just saying he's genius for thinking about this, right? So his grandchildren are profiting. He's getting book sales. I'm sure a lot of people bought Douglas Preston's book, The Codex, because that is in fact about the chase. And also, you got to think about people like Robert Redford, the book I just read. How many people have bought his book, or Flywater book, or Eric Sloane's book? So I'm not saying it's much, but I'm saying it's more than what it would be if this hunt never came out. So other people are profiting from this chase also. And then also, you got to think about Forrest Fenn. I don't think he got a key to the city of New Mexico, but they did something special for Forrest because the tourism went up like 6% or something like that. Don't quote me on that number. But the tourism went up. So, in Santa Fe, I said New Mexico, but I meant Santa Fe. Santa Fe, thanked him for that. Tourism went up. So that's awesome. And you got to also think about all the other YouTubers that are making money off this treasure chase. Now, I haven't made a dime, and that's fine, and I'm not criticizing anyone for making any money. That's kind of our country, right? Capitalism. If you can make money, you do it. And it's not dumb unless no one buys it, and then it's dumb. So you got to think about all the other YouTubers making money, and other searchers writing books about their stuff. So I think it's awesome that, in turn, there's a lot of people that are profiting off this chase. So it's just genius. It's genius to me. And also, Forrest Fenn has helped out searchers and, raffled off, stuff for the Jamie drawing and all this other stuff. So he's donated a lot of his money. And he was saying he would match money too. So, just helping searchers in need too is just another amazing part about this treasure hunt. He could have just donated $1 million or whatever he paid for the treasure and everything like that. He could have just donated it to some charity. But instead he thought about this. And it's just like a gift that keeps on giving, until this treasure box is found. And it gets people out in the mountains. You hear all these wonderful stories about people who never have been in the mountains, and they rekindle with family members, and they're losing weight, and it's just something that saved their life, and it gives them something to look for. And I am one of those people. It gave me something to keep my mind off, my brother passing away. It kept me occupied, and I'd read and fantasize and all this stuff. So this chase is just amazing. But along with that, there's a lot of downsides to this chase, and mostly on Forrest Fenn's side, because you don't really, I guess I never really think about how much Forrest Fenn has went through and put up with this treasure hunt. I mean, just think about the thousands of emails he gets, hundreds every day. Just think about that. And it's important for him to read that. So he has to go through all these emails. So one thing that I've learned, and Forrest Fenn has stated, I think it's the 7%ers or the 6%ers or something like that, 7% of the whole population is crazy. And I completely 100% agree with that. But I believe that percentage is higher. Just reading some of the emails and stuff I get from people, they're just, I mean, these people are just out there, just almost incoherent. So he's had to deal with a lot of crazy people in his life too. So this is just a warning. I've heard people that if they find the chest, they're going to rehide it and all this stuff like that. And I would highly discourage you from doing that without first thinking about all the consequences that could possibly happen, with looking at Forrest Fenn as an example. So you have to deal with all the crazy people and all the emails. At the beginning, he'd take phone calls and have, talk to searchers, and I'm sure he got a lot of crazy phone calls on that. And then everything that he says, people are looking at as a hint, everything. So he has to be so calculated with everything that he says, because everyone's going to take it. His color of his sweater, is that a hint for Wyoming? Or, just every little thing they're going to pick at you. If you look away when you answer a question, or the way you answer a question. So to me, that would be really stressful on trying to make sure that you're not going to jeopardize this hunt in any way by an answer that you give. And also, the way Forrest Fenn structured this hunt is that he wrote a memoir that has hints in it to the clues in the poem. Well, it's about his life. So people are digging in his past and all this stuff like that. And maybe it's rightfully so, because that's how Forrest Fenn, structured this chase, is through his past. So people are, looking up stuff about his past and everything like that. And to me, that's just something that I probably wouldn't want. I wouldn't want myself out there in that situation. So then you go into the really crazy stuff, like people waiting outside his house, thinking that he might drive to the treasure location. Or, people that might possibly kill Forrest Fenn or kidnap him and, threaten him with, take me to the treasure right now or I'm going to kill you. And he has received death threats. He has said that, which is just absolutely crazy. And then you got the crazy guy that was trying to kidnap, Forrest Fenn's daughter, who said that she was the treasure. I mean, so his family was jeopardized by him hiding this treasure chest. His granddaughter. I mean, could you imagine how you would feel if you were the reason and responsible for some crazy person come kidnapping your granddaughter? I mean, that alone should freak anyone out if you were actually planning one of these treasure hunts, if you did find it. And also you got the crazy person, that is mentally ill. I believe that he is mentally ill, which doesn't give him an excuse, but he broke in through the guest house of Forrest Fenn with an axe. I mean, how crazy is that? And they had to hold him at gunpoint. So crazy people trying to steal your granddaughter and threatening to kill you and breaking in your house with an axe where you have to hold them at gunpoint. And then on top of that, you have searchers that are not listening to what you say and are going out and putting themselves in dangerous positions and dying. I mean, there's been multiple deaths. So on top of that, Forrest Fenn gets blamed for those, even though he warns people. He's came out with other stuff like it's not in water. And he said it's a place where an 80-year-old can go. It's not in a dangerous place in, the regular sense of dangerous. So gets blamed for people's deaths, and it's just crazy to me that anyone would blame Forrest Fenn for that, because we are responsible for our own actions no matter what happens or what anyone says. Even if someone said, I hit a treasure chest and it's in the most dangerous spot. Dude, you're responsible for your own actions. Even if Forrest Fenn didn't even give any of those safety hints, you're responsible for those actions. And it's just sad that Forrest Fenn would have to be blamed for those deaths. It's just asinine to me. And then you got all the, there's that lawsuit that's brought up. I still believe it's in the court, against Forrest Fenn, saying that, maybe it's a hoax or something like that, or he went and retrieved the treasure chest. So lawsuits too, on top of everything else. And then you got the crazy people that says that Forrest Fenn retrieved the treasure chest, and also that it's a hoax and it's not real, and they're attacking Forrest Fenn's character and all this other stuff. So there's just so many downfalls to this treasure hunt, and mostly, like I said, on Forrest Fenn's side. And I kind of wanted to just bring this up a little bit, because it's been really weighing on me about how much Forrest Fenn has dealt, how much he's dealt with this chase. And it's amazing to me that Forrest Fenn didn't go pick up the treasure chest in this chase when I believe it was the New Mexico police or whatever was calling for him to end the treasure hunt. So it's just amazing that Forrest Fenn has put up with all this stuff, but if you think about it, why? Why has he not ended it? Is it because, he didn't want to make all of us upset, thousands of searchers upset because it ended? Maybe. But you got to think about what does Forrest Fenn's family think about this? What did his daughters think when that crazy guy was trying to kidnap his daughter or his granddaughter or breaking into his house? Forrest Fenn has put up with a lot. So him hiding this treasure chest really, really means a lot to him and who he is as a person. And he's dealt with these things, and his family's dealt with these things because this is what Forrest Fenn wanted to do. And that to me just, it amazes me. This whole chase amazes me on how it was set up, how Forrest Fenn did it, the mystery behind it, and everything this man has went through to make this happen. For searchers to go out and look in the Rocky Mountains for, a couple $1 million and reunite with families and, lose weight and all these wonderful stories. That's why Forrest Fenn did this, but is it worth it to, jeopardize your family's lives? I don't know. To me, after seeing this, I wouldn't personally hide a treasure chest due to all these factors. And I'm not being rude or disrespectful to Forrest Fenn at all. I'm just saying it amazes me that he's dealt with all these things and still continues to have the treasure hunt and still be engaged with the community after, talking to all these crazy people and people saying that he's a liar and it's a hoax, He just went through so much, and this chase just amazes me. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up to everybody and see what your thoughts are. And, if you did find it, would you really want to, rehide it and possibly go through all these things that Forrest Fenn has went through and maybe even more? So just something to think about, guys. I know this isn't, this isn't going to get you closer to the treasure chest, but there's just some things that I think people don't really talk about or bring up or think about, about this chase. So anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts and my opinions about this. That's all I got. So anyways, I hope you guys liked it. The next video will probably be my book review on The Outlaw Trail Journey Through Time Part 2. And then I'm going to make a Thrill the Chase oriented video. And then after that, I believe that I'm just going to go ahead and release my Where Warm Waters Halt. So anyways, guys, about my Warm Waters Halt video, if you read the book, I'm going with the most or I guess it's imaginative, but it's the most straightforward Where Warm Waters Halt that's in the Thrill of the Chase to me. And it's hinted at in both books and multiple interviews. And it's just the obvious one, in my opinion, when you read it. If you're just reading it like a kid, like a high school kid or a middle school kid would read it, that's my Where Warm Waters Halt. Just use your imagination a little bit, and I'm sure that you can get it before I even come out with this video. So anyways, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you have a good weekend.